and progressives, the Vindication Show. I'm here with badass Asian Steve-O.
By popular demand, the glasses are back.
People asked for us to wear our glasses, so our sunglasses, so we're gonna wear them on this show. This is the kick.
Just for a little bit, right?
All right, for a little bit.
Yeah.
This is the Vindication Show. This is the Donna Brazile. Who'd have thought Donna Brazile would be our bestest buddy in the whole wide world? The person who Jordan Chariton caught cheating during the debates. Who'd have thunk it? But she did it for us. God bless America. We've got a great show lined up for you. Now remember, the first 15 or 20 minutes are free, and the rest you got to become a member. You go to tytnetwork.com/join. You become a member. You're supporting independent media. It's more important now than ever because the mainstream media is gaslighting you harder than ever about Russia and about the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Hillary Victory Fund for America. They're lying, and we're gonna show you how the mainstream news media is lying, and what Glenn Greenwald calls the worst thing you could do in journalism is being done right now. So that's why it's important to support independent journalism. I wanna say thank you to everybody who came out Monday night. Say thank you. There it is, there's the show. There's me on still making, the Donna Brazile. So much laughter, rapture, and joy at last night's live Jimmy Dore show. Vindication celebration, David Kapoor tweeted out. Look at that, fun, goddamn good time.
And I would just say this, for those of you who haven't had a chance to see Jimmy Dore live, you're really, really missing out. If there's an opportunity, if he's anywhere remotely in your area, you have to go watch him. Obviously he's funny, he's very smart, it's a great night. But you feel this camaraderie in this community of the folks who are there, and it's just an all-around great time. You won't forget it. Jimmy's very generous with his time. He stays after and he talks to the fans.
Yes, I do.
His excellent wife, Steph, is usually there.
Yes.
And it's just a great time, so I highly, highly recommend it. But I feel ridiculous wearing these sunglasses.
Our next show, no, hang on.
Keep them on?
Our next show is this Sunday in Portland. It's been sold out for a month now, so you can't get tickets to that. But you can come see us in December 4th. We're doing another live show in Burbank, California, and November 20th in Hollywood, California. So those are two shows coming up. We'd love to see you. December 4th in Burbank, California, and November 20th in Hollywood. Hollywood's gonna sell out fast because there's only 50 tickets. But the other one is a regular 200-seater, so we'll see you then. So look at that picture again, and look how much fun we're having, and we're having a lot of fun. All right, so guess what? So let's cover so we're gonna cover what Donna Brazile had to say. We're gonna cover the mainstream media lying to you about what she had to say. We're gonna cover Keith Olbermann humiliates himself on The View. And then Jordan Chariton's gonna be here with some updates on Flint, which might just blow your mind. Okay, so what happened last night in Virginia? Well, in the East Coast, right? We had a blue sweep. The Dems unseat GOP in a slew of Virginia delegate races. Rome will become first transgender House member. What do you think of that, Steve?
Excellent. I couldn't be happier. I think we need to have more. I can't take myself seriously.
All right, take off. Okay.
Yeah, I think we need more. I think we need more lesbians and trans people.
I thought this was just a Howard Stern show for a second.
Represented in government. I would have added gays, but there are a lot of gays in government. They're just closeted and they're Republicans.
That's true.
Yeah, but yes, more LGBTQ representation I think is good for the country. And it's amazing, right, Jimmy, that a trans woman in Virginia beat a 25-year incumbent.
Yeah, 25-year incumbent.
Yeah, and how did she do it, Jimmy?
I don't know, you tell me how she did it.
Well, apparently all the racists and sexists came out and voted for her.
That's how she did it?
That's how she did it.
All those racists and sexists supported her.
And she was able to stop Russia from hacking the election.
Why didn't Russia hack the election last night? I don't get it. Why didn't they hack the election? They're so good. We're being taken over by Russia if you listen to the news media. Again, another reason why you gotta support independent media or watch the Jimmy Dore show. But let's get back to what happened last night. So this is from the local paper. It says Democrats surged to victory in more than a dozen Virginia House of Delegates races Tuesday, unseating several longtime Republican incumbents and coming within striking distance of retaking control of the House for the first time in 17 years. Almost no one expected Democrats to do as well as they did in Virginia House of Delegates. Democrats targeted the 17 GOP-held districts where Democratic presidential rival Hillary Clinton defeated Trump. Winning all of the seats would swing control of the chamber, but few thought it was possible. Republicans have controlled the state House of Delegates for nearly 2 decades and held a 66-34 majority. As of 10:30 p.m. on Election Day, Democrats had flipped seats in at least 14 districts, according to vote tallies from the nonpartisan Virginia. They flipped seats in 14 districts. The gains bested Democrats' most optimistic scenarios for Election Day, and a handful of additional races were still too close to call. Northern Virginia, a Democratic stronghold, turned only bluer. Voters outside a polling location in Fairfax, which supported Clinton by a 2-to-1 margin in 2016, cited health care, education, and Trump as top issues that drove them to the polls on Tuesday. And this is the mistake that the Republicans made. They ran on social issues once again. Bathrooms, transgender bathrooms, Confederate statues.
Immigration.
So that's what they ran on, which was a mistake. Because people care about what? Economic issues, healthcare they care about, education, and they care about opposing Trump. So you got to stick Trump to the Republicans and talk about economic issues. That's a winner because Ed Gillespie had mimicked Trump's tactics, attacking Northern over sanctuary cities while saying he would not remove Confederate Civil War monuments. A Gillespie mailer also referenced the controversy over protests by NFL players. You'd never take a knee, so take a stand on Election Day. So that's the kind of shit they were running on, those kind of social issues, right? NFL football, patriotism, they're running on Confederate flags, bathrooms, transgenders, and they lost.
They lost.
And that's what the Democrats ran on in 2016, and they lost. So what do you think people want? People want a change. They wanted change in 2008. They didn't get it. They wanted change in 2012. They didn't get it. They wanted change in 2016. They didn't get it. They wanted change last night. They got it.
And the change that they want, Jimmy, is economic change.
Yes.
Something that's better for the economy. And it goes even further. In Hoboken, there was a race, I believe, for the mayor.
A Sikh.
And a Sikh won, and he's a brown-skinned man
with
who wears a turban, and they were putting out flyers that said, "Don't let a terrorist take over Hoboken." And guess what? It didn't work at all. It didn't work at all because people don't care. They don't care if you're a dark-skinned man wearing a turban or if you're trans. If you stand for the right issues and you're strong on those issues, you're gonna win. People care mostly about their pocketbooks. James Carville said it many, many years ago, and there's many things I dislike about James Carville, but he got this one right. It's the economy, stupid. That's all it is.
That's the economy. Okay? The other people vote their pocketbooks.
They vote their pocketbooks. That's what it is. And
which is why when Democrats put minimum wage on the ballot, they win.
They win. So minimum wage, job creation, issues of healthcare, schools, debt. These are important issues for most people, most families. Everyone's grappling with these issues.
You know what people don't want? More money spent on bombs. No one wants that. No one on the left wants that. No one on the right wants that. You know who wants that? The corporate center, and they're the ones who run everything, and that's what they're spending money on. And they're bankrupting half the country's poor or low income. You heard me say that a million times. And we're still spending $80 billion extra a year on bombs this year, which could have wiped out all the student debt, could have sent everybody to college for free, could have got rid of homelessness, could have done a million things we could have done to make our country better. Instead, we didn't. We want to bankrupt our country because we live in an oligarchy and we're being run by corporations. We're not run, this is not, look at that clip from Network in the 70s. There are no countries, there are only corporations. So let's get to, I think, the most interesting race, which really is the bellwether for going forward. And it was the district attorney race in Philadelphia yesterday. And this guy was called unelectable. He was laughed at his campaign. He campaigned against the police department. This guy, completely unelectable progressive Larry Krasner, wins DA's race. He beat Republican Beth Grossman by more than 40 percentage points. Nice. And so Charles Ellison wrote in October that Krasner, quote, may end up throwing this away. GOP voters were feeling more optimistic than usual too, and why wouldn't they? The City Police Union and the Philadelphia Inquirer, both of which often back Democrats, endorsed the Republican Grossman. I'm surprised to say it, said 90-year-old Northeast Philly resident William Britt, smiling after he cast a vote this morning. But I think she has a chance, meaning the Republican has a chance. And they were saying, oh, Democrats are gonna lose this race. The cops aren't behind them. The newspaper's behind the Republican. The cops are behind the Republican. And they were all the way in the, Krasner's victory indicates that progressives are growing more powerful in a city that has typically been more mainstream. In Philly's 2016 primary, Hillary Clinton defeated Bernie Sanders by double digits. And so look at that. In 2016, Hillary Clinton defeated Bernie by double digits, but now the most progressive guy in the race, he had to beat a lot of Democrats too to get the nomination in the primary. The most progressive guy maybe in the whole country won, where Hillary Clinton beat Bernie 2-1. Doesn't that tell you that the tide's turning? It does to me.
And hold on, he didn't win for dog catcher.
Right.
He didn't even win for mayor. He won for district attorney, which is supposed to be on law and order.
Law and order.
You know, make sure that the criminals are cracked down upon,
right.
Get rid of immigrants. Like it's not a position that super libs can usually win.
Well, especially without the backing of the police union.
That's right.
The police union backed the Republican. The police, well, we'll get to what the police union said. That's quite different from what happened today. And in this year's primary, when Krasner rose to the top of a crowded field of Democrats with the most left-wing platform in the race. Earlier this week, The Atlantic wrote that Krasner wouldn't be the first reform-minded prosecutor to take office, a term used to describe the growing cohort of district and state attorneys vowing to overhaul cash bail, abolish the death penalty, and crack down on police corruption. But he would be the most progressive in this pool, a distinction that takes on extra weight at a time when the Justice Department is moving right. Most of Krasner's opponents, including Grossman, were longtime prosecutors. Krasner, on the other hand, get this, Steve, he's never worked for the DA's office in his life. He is a civil rights and defense attorney who has represented Black Lives Matter and Occupy Philly. And that guy is now the DA. And guess what else this guy did? He also sued the police department and City Hall more than 75 times and promised to never seek the death penalty or bring cases based on illegal searches. Krasner once joked that he'd spent a career becoming completely unelectable. And guess what? Now he's elected. The most progressive guy in the world. The police union tried to sabotage his campaign in the primary and in the general. The newspaper did the same thing. And that guy's the most progressive in the world. And he won in a district that Hillary Clinton carried 2-1 against Bernie Sanders. Kind of tells me, to me, that's really important. This is a big, unlike most Philly DA elections, this one was being watched across the country. Quote, most interesting race of the day for me is Krasner for DA in Philly, said Chris Hayes. So that's Chris, he was onto this. Many saw it as a test of progressives' clout. That means that, at least in theory, Krasner's success could have an impact on the trajectory of the Democratic Party throughout the nation. So that's good news. So to me, that's the real news last night. The Republicans made the mistake the Democrats made. They ran on social issues instead of economic issues because they can't run on economic issues. And number two, the most progressive guy in the world in a district that Hillary beat Bernie in 2-1, he won. He's Black Lives Matter. He's Occupy Wall Street. He won. That's a big deal. I think that's a big deal.
It's a big deal, but it's not that big of a surprise to me because that's what people like. People like courage and people like leadership and someone who stands for something. And that's what Larry Krasner did.
Yes.
I mean, it's terrific. If you think about it, who isn't against cracking down? I mean, who's against cracking down on police corruption?
Who's against it? Cops.
Yeah, except, unless you're some sort of vested interest person. I mean, the general public would be in favor of cracking down against corruption anywhere, including the cops. And it's just like mass incarceration and throwing the book at first-time drug offenders. Jimmy, in our country right now, there are over 300 people serving life sentences for first-time nonviolent drug offenses. And they've spent, there was a profile on this one woman, Alice Marie Johnson. She spent 21 years in prison because of one She was caught up in a conspiracy to sell drugs, and that was her first offense. She was nonviolent, and she's serving a life sentence. So there's people like that. Americans, I mean, anyone would think that's not right.
Wow. Well, I guess not the judge who sentenced her.
Well, he had no choice.
Oh, it's one of those mandatory things?
Yeah. Those judges, as they're sentencing the defendant, they say, I don't want to do this. I have no choice. This is ridiculous. And of course, what this woman does right now in prison is she's a screenwriter. So she writes plays for the prisoners to act out.
I heard about this story.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But so I'm glad Larry Krasner won. I want to go back to the governor's races.
Okay.
The big win in Jersey and then the one in Virginia.
So Jersey was again, they're saying it's a big win. I don't see it as a big win because the guy who won in New Jersey is a Goldman Sachs Democrat. Okay, so that's again a loss, right? So they're just trading back and forth. People hate the Republicans, they hate so they're going back and forth. And let me tell you one more. Do you think this would have happened if Hillary Clinton was president? Do you think that crazy stuff would have happened in Virginia if Hillary Clinton was president? Of course not. It wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, so I think in Jersey, this is really a backlash against Chris Christie.
Yes.
Chris Christie is so deeply unpopular for his corruption. The whole scandal with the closing of the bridge, the George Washington Bridge,
right. Which two of his aides went to jail for.
Yeah, he's like, what? I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
What a coward. So the way he handled Sandy, everything he's done, the way he shut the beaches down, and then he went. I mean, just bad optics everywhere. So in that instance, I think any Democrat would have won.
Yes.
Irrespective of what happened with Hillary and Trump and everything else. I mean, unless you are somehow
unless you're Hillary Clinton.
Unless you're Hillary Clinton, any Democrat would have won against Christie's protege in New Jersey. But in Virginia, so this guy, the Democratic candidate, I didn't think he was gonna win because he seemed so bland and middle of the road, and he was criticized for running a lackluster campaign, but he won anyway. And I really hope that the lesson that the Democrats learn from this isn't that we should run bland, lackluster campaigns with the most boring, centrist guy possible, because that means victory. I hope that's not the lesson that they learn.
I hope so. Yeah. You know that is the lesson they're going to take.
But that's definitely the lesson they're going to take away.
Yes,
right.
But
if you look at the down ballot votes in Virginia, it's very encouraging. You've had multiple people, like the trans candidate who won.
A socialist. There was a socialist.
Democratic socialist,
won.
Right?
And the Democrats didn't help him.
They didn't help him.
And they didn't help him, and he won. So this whole thing of like, oh, they're going to call Bernie a socialist. There's a guy running as a full-fledged socialist, and he won in Virginia. Okay, so I think that bullshit scare tactic of socialist doesn't work anymore, right? So who cares if somebody calls you a socialist? Barack Obama, when he was accused of being a socialist, he literally said, no, my policies are moderate Republican, and he bragged about it. And then you wonder why we got Trump? That's all I have to say about last night. So the message the Democrats are going to take away is that just be a little less worse than the Republicans. But let's remember, I think the big reason why the Republicans lost again, A, is because they're stuck to Trump, but B, because they ran on those social issues and not economic issues. And the most progressive guy in the world ever just got elected in Philly. Shows you how much the police union's clout means, and it shows you how much the newspaper is clout. People see through establishments. People don't trust their establishments anymore. People don't trust the cops. People don't trust the establishment news. So people don't, and that Philly, they just wiped them out. So that's fantastic.
So I just hope that bodes well for our Allison Hartson.
I think it does bode well for Allison Hartson.
When she goes up against behemoth that is Dianne Feinstein.
I think
she has a war chest. I mean, just ready to go.
She has millions and millions of dollars. And but that's not gonna, again, Hillary Clinton outspent Donald Tannenhand's 2-1. It didn't help. That's what we're gonna go for. We're getting rid of Dianne Feinstein. She's going down. Yeah. And my prediction is that she won't even make it to election day. And I think Jen copied my prediction. But anyway, no, that's actually his. That's his, and I copied his. Yeah. So, okay, we got 2 minutes left. What are we going to talk about when we come back? Well, I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember this?
Transparent process. Was it unfair? First, let me just reiterate that the Democratic National Committee remains neutral in this primary.
Of course they do.
So just remember that what she said, they were neutral. Well, this is what Donna Brazile says. Donna Brazile said the agreement signed by Amy Dacey, the former CEO of the DNC, and Robbie Mook, with a copy to Mark Elias, that's Clinton's lawyer, specified that in exchange for raising money and investing in the DNC, Hillary would control the party's finances, strategy, and all the money raised. Her campaign had the right of refusal of who would be the party communications director, and it would make the final decisions on all other staff. The DNC also was required to consult with the campaign about all other staffing, budgeting, data, analytics, and mailing. So the Hillary Clinton campaign was running the DNC. They weren't favoring Hillary Clinton. They were literally being run by Hillary Clinton's campaign, and all the money they were raising was being funneled to Hillary Clinton's campaign. So it was a money laundering organization. That's what the DNC was, which was completely being run by Hillary Clinton's campaign. So there wasn't favoritism. It was corruption beyond, it was mind-boggling. And what does that make me think? Well, it makes me and Bernie think this. Looks like it's about time to fuck the system a clock. And that's what we're doing. We're not supporting the system anymore. We're either primarying the system or we're running a third party candidate. We're done with the Democrats. Okay, we'll be right back. In 1 minute, we're gonna talk all about the lies about Donna Brazile that the left is telling and the lies the mainstream news media is repeating about Donna Brazile and the agreement. Everything they're telling you is a lie. We'll be right back. Jordan Sheridan's gonna join us too with an update on Flint and much, much more. We'll be right back.